and pretty much came here with just my clothes and a desk upside down in the back of my truck. And that pickup truck had 200,000 plus miles on it, was beat up, and slept on a kid's couch for 2-3 months. Waking up and, going and selling the vision of Seek One, banging on doors on $5-10 million houses, sneaking my way through country clubs.
Chad Peterman here, and you are listening to Can't Stop the Growth, a platform for leaders and teams to grow and thrive. We highlight the importance of personal development, pursuing greatness, and always chasing your potential. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to another episode of Can't Stop the Growth. I'm your host, Chad Peterman, and today I have someone from the roofing space. As many of you know, it's a space that I got into a couple of years ago and learning every day. There's a lot of similarities between HVAC, plumbing, electrical, and roofing, but there are also some differences. And so for those of you out there thinking about it or already in it, today's guest I met almost a year ago, I think, last February. I can't believe it's already another February. So, but met him at a conference down in Dallas, Texas, and was talking with him about what he's done and done some really amazing things in the roofing space. And so excited to chat with him today and learn a little bit about what they're doing and hopefully shed some light on things that you could be doing in your business as well. So without further ado, we'd like to welcome Jordan White, the owner, founder, CEO of Seek One Roofing and Restoration down in good old Franklin, Tennessee. So, Jordan, welcome to the podcast.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, Chad.
Yeah, absolutely. Excited to talk today about what you've been able to accomplish in a really short period of time. So, I guess probably best place to start is maybe give the listeners a little bit of your background, kind of the company history and what you guys are doing, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, of course. Started the business in 2022, so we're going into our 5th year. We just completed our 4th year. We're here in Franklin, Tennessee, as you mentioned, with a special focus within residential, the high-end residential re-roofing market. We really specialize within the insurance side of things, but are really, taking in that retail side of the business and really focusing on that as we continue to scale, to diversify and create some consistency here. My main focus is sales, branding, visionary. I'm on the front. I like to say that, hey, I bring it through the doors, and my partner and my team, facilitate a great customer experience and a customer journey. We've scaled from 2 million, 5 million, 10 million to a little over 20 million in our 4th year. I think we've really just done a great job of, dominating our market, coming in early and creating a lot of noise and creating an experience, more so than just delivering a great product and service. We've got a great team behind us, and I think we've got a lot of A players, and that's what's positioned us to be in the spot we are this early in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. No, appreciate you sharing that, and congrats on all the growth. Obviously, it sounds great when you say it, but I know a lot of hard work went into that. Probably a lot of hiccups and headaches and learnings and all of that good stuff along the way. Tell me a little bit about, so from what I know, you moved to Nashville. Franklin, Tennessee is right outside of Nashville, but moved there and then started the company from scratch. What was that like? And would you do it again?
I wouldn't trade the world for it.
Yeah.
It's been a lot, but honestly, I feel like God put me in the right place at the right time, and I took that leap of faith. And honestly, it's been something that's amazing, and it's shaped me, into who I am today. And I feel like I've grown a lot. To kind of bring the story alive and fill people in. This week is probably a special week for me, and forever will be for the rest of my life. I was an elite level sales guy at a company out of Atlanta. I was selling millions and millions of dollars of roofing for a business, and at that point in time, I had a deep pipeline, and so I actually had a partner that worked for the same business, same company. They were located in the 8, 9, 10 states throughout the South, and he ran their Nashville branch, and I was an A player out of the Atlanta branch, which is where corporate was. And so they had greenfielded really fast. I mean, they had 8, 9 markets in maybe 2 years. And so he came here and, wasn't really given the right resources to be successful, but I knew he was the right guy and he was everything that I'm not. And so we actually worked together maybe 2 or 3 times before we decided to hop into this. I came up to Nashville to come up here and work in that location and in this market for that business. And I realized what a great spot it is. And I realized that Connor, my business partner, is more focused on, the production, the operations, the finances, and was really a branch manager, a general manager for that location. And I knew I'm a strong visionary. I knew that, hey, look, I can see this and I know what we're capable of. And I just need the right partner. And so did he. And so on January 1st, 2022, 4 years ago, I actually told Connor, I said, look, man, I'll be there on the first. I'm a man of my word, and looking back on it and going through that, that's probably the worst decision we made, was starting a roofing company when it was 32 degrees. And it was probably the stalest of the year, for a roofing industry. It's just calm and it's slow and, it's just hard to get rocking. But yeah, I kind of deleted that pipeline and left some stuff on the table and left a lot, there, but knew that, hey, I needed to make that jump and I was never going to be able to flush it clean with that business. And, I got taken advantage of, but it was part of the game and part of making that next step. And so, yeah, so I moved up to Nashville on January 1st and pretty much came here with just my clothes and a desk upside down in the back of my truck. And that pickup truck had 200,000 plus miles on it, was beat up. And came here with just a dream, a heart and a will to win. And, threw my clothes in a storage unit, shit Connor's hand on January 1st, 4 years ago, and slept on a kid's couch for 2-3 months, waking up and, going and selling the vision of Seek One, banging on doors on $5-10 million houses, sneaking my way through country clubs and kind of, hey, look, this is who we are. This is what we're going to do. And we're going to do it. And we did. So that's kind of how we got started and a little bit about kind of the story of how we, got kicked off.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there with, maybe similar stories or similar aspects of kind of that origin story, if you will. Tell me a little bit about you mentioned kind of Connor's more operations, you're more visionary. Like, how is that played out? I get to work with my brother every day, and we have kind of a similar kind of feel and look to kind of how we run it. What advice would you give people out there who are maybe working with family, or you got a partner, or like what has made that so, obviously the distinct roles, but what else has made that partnership successful for you think?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, more people than ourselves tell us that, look, we've just got the chemistry. It's yin to yang. Yeah, he stays in his lane and I stay in mine. And as I've gone through 4 or 5 years of business, I've watched a lot. I learned a lot. I reach out to people like yourself and really understand how I can grow and what's worked and what hasn't worked. And I feel as if it's smart to learn from another man's mistakes, than it is to just continue to trip over things yourself. And so, with that being said, Connor is very good at owning his role, and so am I. And I've watched and I've seen many other businesses. It's normally 2 like-minded people. I've seen guys that they go out, they kill it within a business, whether it's HVAC, roofing, whatever it is, and they think, hey, we can go do this. And I see it more times than not where you get 2 really good sales guys go start a business and they're one-dimensional. Okay. They're really good at sales, but they lack the systems, the processes, the back end, the efficiencies, and how to create that great customer experience and to make sure you're firing on all cylinders, right? Like, that's not my job. My job is to build people. It's to build winners. It's to, come in and have a strategic plan and continue to grow and navigate how we're going to go dominate our market from the forefront, and teaching our guys how to sell and how to, make sure that, we continue to beat our competition and stay on the forefront. Connor's job is to make sure that we deliver a good service, that those materials and his team drop at the right time, that the crews are there, at the right time, doing the right work, with great quality and craftsmanship, making sure that we collect on time so that we make sure that we take care of all of our vendors. We have no hiccups, no issues. And honestly, the relationship between Connor and I has created a very healthy business. We've been able to put the business first. And then, Chad, not just, him being more focused on that side and me being more focused on this side. I think that we both understood that, hey, look, because we're young, it's going to hurt us in certain areas of this business. But where it can really help us is we can let the business eat first, and, we can starve ourselves and feed our focus. And our focus is seek one. And we're going to make sure that this business, it's just like, another person. It's got to eat and, it's got to breathe, and it's got to have the right amount of oxygen and fuel to be able to grow. And we make sure we stay feeding the business and not just ourselves. And so I think us being aligned on the fact that, hey, look, we're going to grow this business. And for the first 2, 3, 4 years, we don't care to take much from it. And when we were at 10 million, we could have taken some, good distributions. When we were at 15 million, 20 million, we're still sitting here saying, hey, look, business first, us last. So I think our dynamic focus of just personality and skill sets and God-given talent, and him being focused on that side of it, me being on the other, has made us not one-dimensional, but us having the same alignment on kind of business first and us last has really helped as well.
Yeah, I think that's such a powerful thing. And, you see so many people out there that the sole objective for them is to feed themselves, is, what can this do for me? And that type of mindset is not going to allow you to scale a company. You may be able to build a, $2-3 million company, a kind of a lifestyle business, but if you're truly wanting to scale a company, it's got to serve everybody on your team. And to your point is you come last. You may be at the top of the food chain in the org chart, but it's inverted when it comes to who the business should serve, and how we're going to continue to grow this. You talk a lot about kind of building people. What has been maybe some keys that you feel to building people, whether it's salespeople, or I'm sure there's, admin at your size and different things like that. Like, how do you guys approach that? And then are there any tools that you guys use, whether that be kind of, hey, we do this program internally, or we've reached externally and grabbed this and it seemed to really work? What's kind of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so Connor's actually partnered up with a couple of different people. One that you may know of, that he works with sometimes, is Cole Taylor, and Colin Talley from Exit Momentum. And just, hey, look, how do we make sure we have the right operating system to build our people, not just within the day-to-day, but like actually building them as winners, professionally, yes, but more so personally. If people are showing up in the right mindset, I feel like they're going to execute. And no one in our entire business, nobody, Chad, has come from the roofing industry. It's very important that I put some focus on that, because I think so many people when starting out are, hey, look, we've got to get these guys. How can I draw people from other roofing companies? How can I get experience? Like, not one of my sales guys has ever come from the roofing industry, and I don't want to. And I have, many guys that at this point in time aren't happy from other businesses and are wanting to come over. On my side, I have many different sources. I'm a student of the game. I stay learning, and I always am trying different, things to be able to incorporate into our business to build people up. And I think it starts with yourself. Connor and I, we cross paths with you a lot, but we're always educating. We're always going to conferences. We're always going to, 1-day blitzes and 2-day, events that are outside of roofing, that are just, hey, how to build yourself up and how to stay clear-minded and how to stay sharp. And, we really put in a lot of, health first too. Like, if you're not healthy, you're not winning. And so within my sales organization, personal development's huge. We start with our people before we teach them how to really win in roofing. I want to set them up and I want to have above the line and below the line behaviors. We do an MVP process, mission, vision, principles, and hey, look, like, what does it look like? Like, I can guide you in roofing, but I got to guide you as an individual first. And so if I'm sitting down and doing one-on-ones each month with, how was the month? Here's your scorecard. Here's where you were at. Here's what our director of sales is saying. Here's what our team leaders are saying. And it's a direct, correlation more times than not when I can cross-reference and say, hey, look, this is what's going on in your life. This is what you told me you wanted. This is what's going on, at the work, within work and these walls. And so, yeah, I think personal development's huge. I really do. And I think you got to give to get. It's very powerful. We're actually greenfielding a location right now, and we're about to go greenfield 2 or 3 more. And I've learned a lot from that. I can't go down there and work with that general manager and really focus on KPIs and drivers without earning their trust. So, this year I went down to our Huntsville location for 3 to 6 months and said, hey, look, I'm going to come down here and really teach and coach and love and support and, take them to dinners and come out here and take them to events and sit down for 3-4 hours round table and get them to understand that, hey, I care about them before I put the numbers and the KPIs in place and in the standard, before I set that standard. And so I think that because I gave a lot, now I can get a lot and I can ask for a lot. Too much is given, much is required.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you are wise beyond your years, for sure, because I think that's something that so many people miss out on, is that interaction. It's not just, hey, come here, do the work. It's like, if their whole life is in shambles around them, it's going to bleed over into the work. You can talk about kind of work-life balance all you want, but at the end of the day, we all spend a lot of time at work during the course of a week. And so if that's not right and the rest of our life isn't in order, it's going to be very difficult to perform. And I think we've seen that play out in our business. I'm sure you've seen it play out in yours, obviously, and working around that to try to get, the best people in there that are willing to grow. What would you say, obviously you've scaled really fast. What would you say is like, let's just take last year. So you go from 15 to just over 20. Like, when you look at the business today, what's the one thing at like 10 million that you didn't see, and you kind of had to, you didn't see, and like, oh crap, we got to figure this out. What was that? What was like one thing that you saw from 10 to 20 that's different that you may not have expected?
Yeah, for sure. And that was the jump. I mean, it really was 10 to 20. We never hit the 15 threshold. So we doubled revenue at 10 when we thought we were going to go to 15. To answer that question, a year ago going into last year, I thought, hey, look, like, we really got to build out our leadership team. I need, buffers in every area of this. I need a separation of me and our department heads. And same with Connor. And so we went out, we were able to hire a guy from a multi-$100 million organization that actually is in the franchising space, and a direct correlation to Whataburger. So oddly enough, I just, as a visionary, was like, wait a second. They're making big strides throughout Nashville, throughout Tennessee, and throughout the South right now. And his job was, hey, look, you've got to come in here and you've got to operate at a fast scale. You've got to come in, and from ground break to construction to hiring to general manager to this, amount of production and sales, and then he would go to the next. And so he knew speed, he knew time, he knew efficiency, and it had nothing to do with roofing. But I knew he was a professional, and hey, look, if he can do that and work with those type of people that he's having to staff and, at Whataburger, well, wait a second. The roofing industry is not the sharpest. So he understands speed, and he understands how to take people that maybe aren't, at the level that we would want, and turn them into B players and A players. And so with that being said, it was a big piece in putting Jay, our director of operations, into this business and letting him really, come in, learn, get his feet wet, and then be able to direct all of our department heads for scale to be able to go from 10 to 20 million. Another big piece was me bringing in a director of sales that was actually my old boss that I worked for from that previous company down in Atlanta. And his name's Bill Monty. He had a lot of experience. He ran a business called Claim Source One that did defective siding claims, in the 90s, and had over 180 employees. Scaled that to almost 100 million. And then he actually had a commercial roofing business that he scaled to 40 million and had, a large staff. So I knew, hey, look, if I can bring him in here and get him to come be the director of sales, well, that's going to create a good buffer for myself and allow me to really work on it. And so I think just those two people were very important. And then, as well as, kind of from your circle, I've, Hoffman, Tommy, a bunch of people. I just listened to their podcast, and I've met at conferences and listened and absorbed and taking good notes. And it was like, hey, look, I'm going to buy back my time. Like, I feel as if I'm an A player, and, I'm great within this business, but at the same time, like, that's not going to duplicate more me's. So how can I buy back my time? So we went ahead and made that jump to go ahead and get an executive assistant within a leadership team as well. And I think that those pieces really helped us. And then going into this year, to be able to go to 30 million, it's, hey, look, we've really got to attack retail. We've really got to attack, new business development. And so we just hired a business development individual to step into this business, to go lock down custom home builds, new construction, property management teams. So that's kind of the future where we're going. But the struggle from 10 to 20 was making sure that we got leadership into this business and making sure that they actually understood it. And I'm sure you've been there before, but it was painful because Connor and I are like, okay, like we listened to people like you and we took notes and we integrated that into this business. And we actually took not just 2 steps backwards, but maybe like 4 or 5. And then it finally caught in the last quarter of last year. And we're like, okay, now we're equipped. And so we're just super excited to move into this next year. With that being said, because of those steps that it honestly forced us to go into growth mode, going from 10 to 20. So it's currently where we're at.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I think what you're doing that's so powerful is finding the people before you necessarily think you're ready. Like, hey, it's a hell of a lot easier to put some more horsepower and help me push this thing to the next level, as opposed to pulling it all the way there to get there and go, oh, well, now we need somebody.
Good point. I was thinking about that the other day. It was like, wait a second. I look back on it and I was reflecting and just kind of, journaling. And I was like, we've never hired a position in this company and been like, oh, wait, we shouldn't have hired them. Or actually we think and we go, I wish I had them earlier. And almost every position and at every point in time, Connor and I are, regrouping. We're like, wish we had that person earlier. And so we're in the mode of now, and our mindset is we're not going to hire for what we need. We're going to hire for what we want. We're going to operate as a $40-50 million company now. And on the books, like, yeah, we took a little bit to the bottom line, knowing that, hey, look, we don't have to have this, but it's what we want, because in order to get to where we want to go, it's better to go ahead and have it now and let it marinate.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, is a lot of people look at, well, adding people and all of this stuff, but I've always been a believer that adding the right people is an investment in the business. It should pay dividends moving forward. So yeah, I may have to pay this person a little bit more because they're better and more qualified and so on and so forth. But my hope is that they're going to bring back a hell of a lot more for the business. And I think that too, and what you're doing that is, so smart is, finding really smart people. They don't have to be roofing people. They can be from anywhere. What I found out is that a lot of smart people can figure these businesses out because they're not real sophisticated. It is sell work, deliver job. Okay, cool. I can figure that out. And, there's nuances to it, which, you're gaining advantages through. But, I look at my leadership team, and no one on that team has ever installed a furnace or probably knows how to.
And sometimes it's better.
Yeah. You look at it
honestly,
from a different perspective.
It's hard to teach, the old dog new tricks, and sometimes when you hire experience matters and it's great and the learning curve's not there and maybe you can accelerate a little faster when they come in. But longevity, if you've got a really smart individual, just a strong professional that maybe doesn't have the experience, I kind of like molding, crafting, and developing, someone that doesn't have, old habits.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I see your scoreboard back behind you. Talk a little bit about how important kind of KPIs, and you mentioned scorecard earlier, which I think is tremendous. How has that played a role in your business, and kind of how do you guys utilize that with the team?
Yeah, another unique position that we took early on, honestly, in year 2, going into year 3, we hired a data tech IT guy to come in and build out custom dashboards and scorecards and all kinds of different stuff. Because I feel like, one of the biggest pieces, and I say it all the time in our business, is what doesn't get measured doesn't get moved. And so, I want all of the data. I want to drive this business through numbers, not just through motivation, not just through systems and processes, but hey, look, let's get everything to walk and talk together. And, I think that the data behind what we do has really helped us. So we have actually, if you walk into our office, it feels like you're walking into like New York, into like some day trading business, because we've got flat screen TVs all over the place that track everything. So within probably 2 minutes, Chad, you could walk into this business and look at 6 different TVs. One of them is going to be production. One of them is going to be operations. One of them is going to be ARAP. One of them is going to be new hires and training. One of them is going to be our sales leadership, or sales leader dashboard. And I just feel like the visual side of this really makes sure that everyone understands that, hey, look, we're dialed in. we're focused, right? Like we've got every single piece of this business figured out. But I think it's easier for two young guys like Connor and myself to be able to manage the business. So obviously you want to have a pulse on everything, but for us it's a lot easier to be able to slide over a report and just highlight and say, well, look, all the areas that are in green are great, and all the areas that are in yellow we need to work on, and hey, look, there's a good bit of red here. And it kind of removes us having to be harsh, and it allows for us to actually manage in I think a more effective way. So yeah, I mean, we've got dashboards. These guys, they have their own apps and profiles. They can pull them up. It takes them down from our sales reps to like their average ticket, to the average insurance carrier, to their approval rating within that insurance carrier, to, how many jobs are, held up, to when their builds are coming in, how much money they're receiving. Like we will literally track everything we possibly can. And I think that's a big piece because it really allows the individuals on the team to really not have an excuse. And I've just really enjoyed having that. And so has Connor. I think it's been something that really has been a big piece to this business.
Yeah, I think it's so huge, and congrats for doing it so early. I wish I would have done it earlier in our business. But live and learn. I think to your point, it's when you have a scorecard, it is not just your opinion and of what their performance is. And then, there's a rift because, oh, my manager doesn't like me and this, that, and the other, and all of this stuff. And ultimately people end up leaving. And to me, it's like every technician has their scorecard. You know how you're doing. I'm not pointing it out. This is the scorecard is doing the managing for me. Now it's my job as the manager to figure out how I can help you. What do you want to improve on? Where can I be of assistance? So on and so forth. What training do you need? Things of that nature. And so I would say to anybody out there that doesn't have, and you don't need when we first started our scoreboard, it was a whiteboard. And we wrote on it with a marker every day at 9 a.m. How'd we do yesterday? What help do we need? So on and so forth. And then you can get to the fancy stuff. I think that the important thing is being able to track it, being able to put it in front of your people so that there's a level of accountability. If there is one thing that we are really working to improve, because in order to go fast, people got to be held accountable or they don't move. And to your point, what gets measured gets moved. And then how much accountability do we have within the organization that everybody's going to get their stuff done, and we're all working towards this goal. So I think that's hugely, hugely important. Let's talk a little bit about kind of the marketing side of things. So obviously scaling like that, you said the majority of stuff is insurance, but looking to break into retail. Like, how have you looked at and maybe you take them as two separate kind of points. So it's like, hey, here's how we market in the insurance space. Here's how we market for the retail space. What strategies and tactics have you used to kind of scale the way you have? But obviously marketing is an important piece of driving those leads.
Yeah. So honestly, everyone that comes from the HVAC space just hates when I say this, and I hate saying it myself because I want more HVAC in my space, right? Like I love how the businesses operate. I go to shop tours, I go and I watch it, and I'm like, okay, like how can we take this and put this into roofing? And that's why I think it's so fascinating what you're doing, because the speed there is going to kill. Roofing I feel like it's a little bit behind HVAC from being advanced and having the right systems and processes dialed in from a marketing standpoint, speed to lead, booking rate, conversion rate, all of that. So we've done all of our business from door to door. I train sharks. And so as someone that, understands that, hey, look, we really need to, change up some stuff and create sustainability and predictability in this business and just be more attractive, from all angles. I want to be able to know exactly what we can expect and not have the swings month to month of like, hey, look, like, what is it going to look like this month because of, door to door sales guys. So we've actually just locked down, super excited, a CMO to come in that has a great track record. He actually worked for Dave Ramsey over at Ramsey Solutions as the director of marketing, and previously before that out of Atlanta for John Maxwell and his brother. And so he actually has a kid that's going through a lot, and he realized about 3 years ago, wait a second, why don't I come in and be a fractional for 3 home service industry businesses? Because I enjoy that and I'm fascinated by that, and work from home and work within those businesses, 4 to 6 hours a week. And he actually worked with a business, I won't say the name of it, but a retail shop, a roofing business that was doing about $30 million on the insurance side of things 2 years ago. He stepped in, scaled him to 50 million within 1 year from a retail standpoint. And in the second year, took him to 80 million from all retail. And so we've actually gone out, and I feel as if I've hired an A player, and he starts this year. And so we are actually in the process of, trying to, get a 3-4x on an ROI of what we spend. And like I said earlier, I'll go all the way back to we save. We let the business eat first. So I'm a little upset that, I haven't done this earlier and really integrated, the marketing side of this and created that, fully lead gen piece to this. But at the same time, I can say that we're in a position to be able to fund it and to go all in and not have to ease our way in. So this year, we're actually really focused on the marketing side of this to be able to turn it to a 30% retail as our projection with all of the numbers that we've kind of broken down and budgeted for. So when I say no marketing, Chad, of course, we've done marketing over the last 4 years. We've dominated our market. We rank in SEO. We're, first in the map pack, first on, organic search. We've got over 500 5-star reviews. We're pushing, to get up to 750 to 1,000 with a program that we've built out for this year. We've dominated our market from all of the, sponsorships and, high schools and being on all their fields and, restaurants and whatnot. And we've done, some paid advertising, and we've had a call center, and we've done, a few $1,000,000 in revenue. But Chad, we want to go be a $40-50 million roofing business in the next 2 years. We want to go scale, past that if we can, and shoot for the moon and go to 100 million, or else we would have probably already done a transaction with how hot our space is right now as two young guys that could take that and move. We're up for the challenge. So marketing right now is something that has our undivided attention. It's my main focus right now. Super excited. Like I said, I feel like we have the resources, the right person in the chair. And, from a marketing standpoint, for our CMO coming in, I think we've done a great job of positioning the business on the digital forefront for him to be able to just turn the levers and go. So interested to see. We haven't run, a multi-million-dollar PPC campaign or an LSA campaign that's pushing 300, 400, 500 calls a month. We definitely have had our 50 to 100 leads a month, and we've converted, but we're really trying to do more of what you're great at within our business and take the game of manhunt away is what I call it. We've had a great time, playing outside and having fun and playing hide and seek and manhunt and going out and just having 20, 30, intent sales guys, coming in and racking doors all day in a very high end market. But if we've been able to do this without that, that's the exciting piece. And the positive to this is, well, I think we really can double down. So that's kind of where we stand.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, I think the one piece of advice, and not that you need it, but the one thing that I would share, and this goes really for all listeners, is I think the most important piece of marketing is a lot of people think it's like, oh, well, I got this cool commercial or this cool radio ad or whatever it is. At the end of the day, marketing is all data driven. And the good thing is about a lot of the digital stuff is you can track it. So to me, once you get all this guy in line, to me, you need a TV that's got all your marketing. What are we paying for a new customer? What's the conversion on this? What's the ROI? All of those metrics, I think, are going to make your marketing department just hum, because you'll know where to spend money. So many people are like, oh, we're going to go market. We're just going to go put money here, there, and everywhere. And it's like, well, that's not a good strategy. We've got to understand what is actually working. And I will tell you, over the course of tracking all of this stuff, there will be some years that one thing will work, and it's important to track it because next year it may not work as well. Print advertising for us is one of those things that used to work really well. Well, now it's like we're pulling damn near every dollar we have out of print because it just doesn't convert like it used to. The other piece, and you're in a high, a very affluent area for sure, is understanding who that customer is. I think that's the important part too. When you go to market, your marketing works a hell of a lot better if there's a story there, and you can relay that story to your customer base so that they can start to resonate with it. It's not just like throw out an offer and see who bites. It's more so like, can we brand in a fashion that is going to make our story resonate? There's a reason why my brother and myself have our caricatures on the side of a van, because it's different and nobody does it. And all of a sudden it says who we are and what we're about. So,
Mm-hmm. Love it.
all great stuff. And I think you're setting up, like you said, you're in such a good spot right now to bring someone on like that can start to propel that. I think you'll see the retail side really grow.
Thanks. Yeah. And I think he's excited too. Sometimes it's just the right fit. That when you're going into an opportunity, and obviously he's worked with many different businesses, and because we are so organized and we do have the structure of tracking everything. And that's what we're really going to do for this first quarter is because we don't have to have it, which is the position I always want to manage this business in is that like, hey, look, we want to be able to adapt and try and learn and navigate without having to depend on it immediately. So obviously our business is going to continue to hum without it. So let's go ahead and diversify the marketing and kind of test the budget, see what the cost per click is, see what it costs, to get per customer, and then hammer that down. And then also over this first 3-4 months is to have the TVs. Like let's have every variable and metric we can, showcased and know where to pull the right lever. So well said.
Yeah.
I greatly appreciate it. Thanks for the
Yeah,
points.
absolutely. We've seen a lot of success with the lead aggregators. It's a little bit trickier of a lead, obviously, because some of those are going out to multiple companies and so on and so forth. But that's where we've seen the big push. We turned the corner probably in October, maybe September, October, of like, our goal was, how can we make retail outpace insurance? We finally got there. Now we're very small compared to you, but just trying to figure out all of these mechanics of how does roofing work? Because it's not, HVAC, you need to maintain stuff and maintenance and all of that, and plumbing stuff breaks a lot more frequently than, say, replacing a roof. So that'll be interesting. I'll be excited to trade some notes with you along the way, which will be fun. Let's go into the to the door knocking piece. This is something that's been on my mind, is trying to make it work in the space. I just haven't gotten enough whatever to figure it out. What would you say is like the key? And like, your salespeople are door knocking, is that correct?
Chad, I'm a door to door, like just beast down. Like that is just who I am. That's how, honestly, I grew up banging doors at 15 years old. I was knocking doors for a tree company. So, door to door is kind of my specialty. And like, I don't really care how people view it. Like personally, I've just had to go out and make it for myself, not to get into my personal story and kind of my background, but like, I was kind of thrown out there at 15, like go figure it out. My dad, both his parents passed away before he was 17, 18 years old. And so obviously it was great. I'm very thankful and blessed. And I was raised in a great family, but my dad made me work, man. He threw me out there. Like most parents, I feel like they're cutting them off a little late nowadays at like 21,
Yep.
22, 23, 24. At 15, I was dropped off in a parking lot of 2 grocery stores and said, go in there and go get a job. And no, you're not filling out an application. Like you better walk out with, the badge. And, so I did that for a month. I was working at a grocery store and I saw these guys riding, in nice trucks and wearing jeans and boots and, kind of like, I was like, this is cool. And, they were across the street. There was an office to a tree business. And so I went over there and walked in at one day on a lunch break, and I started racking doors for a guy and riding around with him. And, I like the rush. Like I like the fact that I could work with when I want, with who I want, how I want. I was in full control, and, hey, look, if I'm really good at it, I can go knock 10 doors and close 3 jobs. And, some people, they got to go knock 300 doors to close a job. But for me, I think I was honestly faster than someone being able to get a lead to come through, organically from, one of the, lead aggregators, or from SEO or from whatever it is, whatever campaign. Like I like the fact that I could control that on my own timing. And so our entire business, and it had to be, Chad, it had to be. I came into this business. Yeah, I had money and, I poured everything I had into it at the beginning, but I couldn't come through and start running marketing campaigns, when I came here with nothing at 21 years old. So I really focused. I think it was a big piece too to really accelerate and jumpstart the business because I think it built the right momentum and it created the culture of like, hey, we're hustlers. I think that when you lead gen the business, it's great for the predictability and the sustainability of being able to go, okay, well, if we get 100 leads and our booking rate's this and our conversion rate's that and our approval rating's this, that we start to get the data that, like let's just say it's 100 leads and, 80 of them are run and 40 of them close. Well, okay, we're good for 40 jobs, if we do this and, you continue to walk it up. Like you can kind of create, I think, complacency, not within the business, but within the individuals and the sales organization of them kind of becoming lead babies is what I say. And, our guys are hustlers. And so I feel as if when a lead comes through, it's honestly, it's like a treat. And they view it as if like, hey, like this is amazing. Like, yeah, I get paid a little bit less because the company gave this to me, but all I've got to do is just go show up. And I hear so many businesses on the retail side of it. They're like, they're just not answering the phone or they just don't run the appointment or, oh, someone wasn't home, right? Like my guys are trained to go back to the house 4, 5, 6 times. So our entire business is built behind the door to door. I really trained and taught a handful how to be killers, and then it's kind of trickled through and we built a model. And so we have, usually it goes up and down a little bit, 20 sales guys and about 4 or 5 team leaders. And each team leader, has his own team within the team and really focuses on building only 4 or 5 guys, and driving their KPIs and metrics and their blitzes each week. And, just all sorts of different things that we track, but we have fun with it, Chad. Like we truthfully do. Like my guys want to go door knock. Like we don't view it as if like, oh my gosh, we got to go be the doors. Like it's another day. Like we enjoy it. It's high energy. And you said it earlier, but yeah, where we live is the 5th wealthiest county in the United States right now. So we're knocking on doors of guys that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars and like they respect the hustle. More times than not, like I've met some of my biggest mentors and some of my best friends through door to door. I have guys that mentor me that are like, hey man, like I don't need the roof, but like the tenacity is unreal. Like let's grab coffee because like I don't see people in your generation hustling. And so I just have a group of guys that are just so ambitious and just killers, man. They want to win. And we wake up and we go out there and we go get it every day. And I think that once they realize that like, hey, look, I can go out and go work for 3, 4 hours and go talk to 50 people and close 3 deals. And an average ticket in our company is 26,000 to 30,000. And a paycheck off that's 3 or 4 grand. So if they close 3 deals in one day, they're making $10,000, $12,000 in 3 or 4 hours. Like they'd rather do that than go run 4 or 5 leads spread out, that are across town. And, like these guys, like we only work 2 or 3 zip codes, oddly enough. And so these guys go in and they do a takeover of like one specific neighborhood. And we kind of have, our own recipe and they turn 3 into, 10 and then 10 into 20. And like the first 3 are the hardest. And so, we have ways of really coaching and developing guys to go get those first 3 and then the first 10. And then it's just dominoes. They just run through. Because when you get everyone in that neighborhood starting to talk and become the cheerleader for what you're doing and fighting behind you and they're doing the sharing, it's pretty powerful. Like we'll mow through an entire neighborhood and they're all $100,000 roofs where we live. So it's pretty crazy.
That's awesome. I'll be coming down. I'm going to come down and visit you because I need to figure this out. And that's fantastic. I think that's probably, my guess would be that getting guys from outside the roofing industry is a key piece to set the standard of like, this is how this business works, as opposed to, Roger, who worked at some other company and was just fed leads all day.
For sure. There's 2 variables here. Okay. From what I've seen, obviously, I don't know everything, but I can tell you what I've seen within this business. Our group and our demographic is, Connor and I, we're yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir type people, come from great families, we're both educated. We've attracted those people in our business, right? Like there's no riffraff. There's no tattoos and earrings. This isn't a normal roofing business whatsoever. Okay. This isn't the guy, who it's his only option, is to come into a business and go bang doors. My guys are all college educated. We're all clean cut. We're all true professionals. I hire athletes and I hire guys from SEC schools. So I've got sharp 20 to 30-year-old guys that have kind of fit the model of, hey, look, I don't want to go work for someone and I can have a business within this business and work on my own time. And as long as I meet these numbers, and I have standards, and we have scorecards and we have metrics, and they have to sign a certain amount of deals per week and strike one, strike two, strike three, you're out. And so, yes, I let the dog off the leash, but at the same time, they do understand it's an honor and it's a privilege because we back up what they sell and we are able to, deliver a great service. So we've kind of got it all positioned the right way, but I've seen it go two ways. You hire young guys that are hustlers. Okay. That's my team. Clean cut, educated. Like I've got 20-year-olds making $250,000, $300,000 a year that were working at, a grocery store, Tractor Supply, selling insurance, like just making 50, 60K a year. And we turn them into actual beast. Now the other side of this is I feel you get a group of guys that has the rah-rah, right? That, in the roofing industry can go out and go rack doors because they've hit rock bottom and they have nothing else to do. And they've been, at the bottom. So going out knocking doors all day and being able to go make thousands of dollars and make hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year isn't too hard to them. And so I obviously feel as if those are the two models, to be transparent with you, Chad, in the roofing industry is from a door-to-door standpoint. You have guys that are ex-cons, kind of like had a bad past, do a lot of riffraff, and they've got that rah-rah culture and they turn up. And I'll tell you the truth, like I've got competitors that run 40, 50, $60 million, outfits, and that's what that whole team's made of. We're a very unique situation where we can go compete with not having to have that in our business, having clean cut guys that are just sharp, young hustlers that we're able to coach and develop. And then the third, outside of door to door in our space, from what I see, is a little bit older, 30s, 40s, and it's lead gen. And I truthfully feel as if they're a little soft. Feel as if it's better for the business from the predictability, but I feel as if in our business, from the momentum and the energy that's created, it's better to have what we have for door to door. So It's just kind of what I've seen.
That's awesome. I mean, I see it every day, right? When you get the right people that believe the culture, like your job gets so much easier. Because now you got all these people that believe the exact same thing that you believe. And I think that you've done what sounds like a tremendous job of let's find the right people. I'll train them, but they got to have the right characteristics. And I think you've hit it spot on as another thing that we talk about a lot is like, rather than complain, I know you're in this generation, but rather than complain about the 20 to 30-year-olds and they don't have any drive and they're lazy and all they want to do is take time off and all of this stuff, it's like, to me, what you've done is meet them where they are. What do they want? Well, they want to work on their own time. They want to make a lot of money. Well, if this is the recipe, if you only want to work 4 hours a day and go play golf or do whatever, well, just sign 3 deals in the 4 hours, and then you're done. And then you can go do whatever you want. And to me, you probably have sales guys that will never, ever leave because I have a great gig. Like, how much better is that? Actually, they probably have a better gig than I got. Like, that seems pretty good.
You nailed it. Yeah. So, I mean, truthfully, like, a lot of people are going to come at me for this. I'll say it, do I want them to work 5 days a week? Yeah, I want them to work Saturday too. I want them to go out there, and we do. We have guys that they understand all gas, no brakes. Like, this is an amazing opportunity. And I tell them all the time with the whole PE side of things. And obviously they've got a lot of questions and concerns. And I'm like, look, the gold rush will run. It will run out. So, insurance is changing. But at the end of the day, you can either be the guy that signs 2 or 3 deals and makes his, $10,000 that week and is done by Tuesday, or you can be the guy that goes out and signs 6, 7, 8 deals and, just creates an opportunity to go compound millions of dollars within 3, 4, 5 years to be able to set yourself up, and a lot of my guys that, they all want to go be business owners. They all want to be entrepreneurs. And I'm like, well, at the end of the day, then you need to go make the most of this and go attack it and go get every dollar you possibly can right now while it's there. But, with that being said, I don't care if they quit on Tuesday. If they've got the numbers I need, some guys it takes 6 days a week and some guys it takes 1 day a week. Obviously we push them, but at the end of the day, the standard's the standard and the numbers are the numbers and the KPIs are the KPIs. So if that guy can go out and go sign 2-3 deals and, he's locked up over $150,000 in revenue in 5 days, in a week's time, but within Monday and Tuesday, like, it's fine with me.
Yeah.
So
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. I don't care how long it takes you, but we've got to hit
Chad,
that.
Yeah, I do want to say, like, to go be a $50 million outfit, to go be a 75, to go be a $100 million business, like, that's great. And that's been fun, but I'm going to need to, input, some other pieces to this and diversify the business. And that's why we hired that business development individual, to get out in this market and really go, meet these custom home builders. I think we've got a unique piece to this in Nashville, Tennessee, and Franklin and Brentwood. Where I'm from in Atlanta and all the other markets I've worked in throughout the South, right? Like, you don't have $5 to $10 million homes being built everywhere, every corner. And so what we're really strategically trying to do is go do $3, $4, $5 million through locking up maybe just 5, 6, 7 builders that build 8 to 10, 10,000 square feet homes a year that have that designer shingle, cedar shake, draped in copper, and kind of just create an experience for them and create, some reoccurring revenue and understanding that, like, we work so hard for our customer to be a cheerleader. Like, we do. Like, we want them to be a customer for life, but, like, it's frustrating because if you work really hard for your customer, they're going to call you back. My people don't need me for another 15 to 20 years. So I like the fact that if we have the mentality of no matter what, we're going to create an amazing experience. I'd like to start to do that on this side of it because, they're just going to keep coming back and using us. And these builders in this market is the second fastest growing state in the United States right now. If I can lock in some of these builders right now, I think we've got them in a chokehold for the next 5 years. Yeah. So if we can just go do 3 million, 4 million, 5 million, and then go, okay, wait, what is their average ticket? How many builders do we have to do this? And then understand for 2027, okay, great. We had 7 builders. It did 4 million. The average guy's building 10 to 20 homes. Let's go lock down 5 to 7 more of these, and kind of create a good experience for them and kind of a good flow within our business right now. So that's what we're doing, is creating an SOP and, like, hey, look, like, from the time they send us the plans, how can we, accelerate being quicker, being more accurate, than our competitors, and I feel as if right now, because we don't have to be in that space, back to, like I said, you're going to hear me kind of keep going on that. We can be more competitive, right? Like, I can come in and undercut these jobs the first, 3, 4, 5, 6 months just to create that great experience for that builder. And then come through once we've got it to where they're like, hey, look, like, this is just so smooth that we've got to use Seek One. And that's kind of where we're headed.
Yeah. Love it, man. Well, I know we're bumping up on time here. I'm sure you've got stuff to do. Can't thank you enough. This has been a lot of fun. Obviously, we've talked a couple times over the last year, and I'm going to need to get down there and visit and see what you're doing, because I think there's a lot I can learn, regardless of what business it is. So, Jordan, thanks again, man. Really appreciate it. Best of luck in 26. I'm sure I'll see you somewhere along the way, and then we'll figure out for some time for me to get down there and check you out.
Chad, thank you so much. Greatly appreciate you having me on. I hope I provided some value for your listeners, and best of luck, to you and your business here in 2026 as well.
Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to connect with me personally, you can find me at chadmpeterman.com. To see what our team's up to, you can visit petermanbros.com. Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel and consider joining the CSTG Arena. As always, keep growing out there.